Well, good morning. It's great to be back. It's good. Let me welcome Kelly back. I'm glad to have him. I looked over last week and he was gone. I missed him a little bit. But coming back off of a good win, I think that clearly everybody understands that the competition level is going to increase this week and continue to move up. But I was proud of our guys the way they bounced back from a tough loss, the way we, a game of that magnitude and the way that it looked like we had the momentum and looked like we were going to seal the deal. And then to Virginia Tech's credit, they came back. Our guys could have let that linger. But they didn't, and I thought we came back, played extremely well defensively early in the game. Had some hiccups on offense, had a penalty that killed a drive and some different things. But all in all, there were a lot of positives, and we need to continue to get better this week against Virginia. It's a big game. I tell our guys all the time from a conference standpoint, if you want to be in the conference race, you can't lose conference games at home. So we've got them coming in. They're 2-0 and flying high, so it'll be a challenge for us this Saturday. So having said that, I'll throw it open.
I see you've made some changes on the offensive line. Can you comment on the move of Will Jackson to offensive tackle? Yeah,
it's a kind of a situation where we're working to try to get our five best guys there and get some depth. And early on in camp we were counting on Morgan Bailey, and he's been injured and he's having a hard time getting back out there. So, Will can still swing and play both. He's one of our smarter guys. But if you look at it, you've got Shaq, who had been sitting out, who's also one of our best players. So what that'll do is it'll enable us to get Shaq out there at the same time with a Morgay and Will, and continue to bring Brian Chamberlain along as a redshirt freshman. He started the last game and did some things, and Tyler Kidney started and played some. But we talked about trying to leave Ray Bino on the left side where he's more comfortable, and by moving Will to right tackle, we can do that. If by chance Morgan Bailey gets back out there and stays out there and can play, Will can always slide back in because he's played guard for 2 years.
Coach, the two games, the defense really seems to be playing a lot faster. Is it more just familiarity, or is it anything else you can attribute to, or just a couple years in the system now?
Well, it's probably all of it. And, as we move along, the competition will increase too there. So it's we're hopeful. I'm encouraged by what I've seen. I thought for 3 quarters we played real well at Virginia Tech. And then the last game, when the first group was out there, they played extremely well. But, continue to get better. I think it's guys have just played. You've got a lot of guys over there that have played now, and they're more comfortable. They got a little confidence now. So we'll see if that can carry forward. It's been a positive.
Virginia returns, I think, 7 starters offensively. What kind of problems do they present on that side of the ball?
Well, their quarterback has played really well the last 2 games. He's completed about 65% of his throws, I think. The running back is a really good player, great receiver coming out of the backfield. And our big problem is last year they ran flat over us. I mean, they rushed for 270 yards and kept the ball for the most. We're used to winning the time of possession pretty handedly, and they did a good job holding on to the ball last year and staying on the field, and so that'll be a challenge. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys up front, same running backs. So we'll need to see if we can't stop the run.
Coach, watching that Penn State game a little bit last week, is it more about Penn State's defense there, or they were just having some trouble executing? Did you see?
I think Penn State's probably pretty good up front defensively. They look to be pretty good on tape, and it was just kind of one of those games. The other thing, they turn the ball over a lot, and that kind of gets you out of sync, and you lose your turn. So they had 4 turnovers, so that's. When you do that, it's hard to get in any kind of pattern or any kind of continuity, So I'd like to think they'll do that again, but I'm not going to kid myself. Most times you're not going to follow that up with the same kind of deal. So we got to be ready and be ready to maximize. The thing that was impressive to me is defensively, Penn State missed some kicks, but they kept getting the ball in the red zone, and Virginia kept making them have to kick. They didn't give up the scores and stayed in the game, and so they found a way to win as a team. And when you can do that without playing their best game, and I don't think they did, then that says something about them as a team, I think.
Regarding Virginia's offense and what happened last year, in a way, I guess you could look at this as kind of a measuring stick of how far the defense has progressed, in terms of how well it'll be able to defend that sort of running game.
Yeah, I think that'll be another clue. As I said before the season, I think you got to play 4 or 5 games before you really know where you are. You'll have an idea about your strengths and your weaknesses and all that 4 or 5 games in, but this will be a challenge. This is probably the best offensive team we've played to this point, I would think.
Coach, every team is different makeup, personality. You talked about hoping that you could recover from the Virginia Tech game. At what point during the week or how quickly did you know that possibility existed with this group?
You never really know until you get into the game and see them play, but the kids were pretty resilient. I mean, we had a short week, so when we got back, Tuesday was an off day, Wednesday was like a regular Monday, but Thursday was a pretty decent practice. I mean, what I say practice, we were out there in shells and didn't, but just kind of, it was really more walkthrough, more that kind of thing. But the attention span was there, and I think, when you lose, you always want to play as fast as you can, and I think they were ready to play again. And so they came out ready to go, and again, take nothing away from Presbyterian because their kids played hard or whatever, but they were just kind of overmatched physically in a lot of different areas.
Coach, it's the 11th anniversary of 9/11. Where were you when that happened, and how long did it take you kind of get back into that football mode?
I was at Georgia Southern. I was the head coach at Georgia Southern, and I can remember I was sitting in my office watching tape, and the secretary came in and said, "You need to turn this on." So I remember turning on the TV, and the first one hit, they thought it was just something that was funky, and then when the second one, you knew something big was going on. So that's basically what I remember, and we were getting ready. I think we were playing a conference game. I believe we were going to play Wofford or somebody, and you just kind of stopped preparing and tried to figure out what you were going to do with the team for the rest of the day because you knew it was something major. And then, of course, they ended up canceling all the games and doing all that kind of thing. But I was watching film in the office, I think.
Last week, you didn't just get Vadley in, after you built a big lead. You obviously wanted to get him in early. And
right.
Is that reflective of your plans to continue to find ways to get him in?
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm
I'm going to try to play him some. You never – I'm not going to commit myself to saying he's going to be in on the second series or the third series or whatever. I'll play it by feel to some degree, and Vad and I'll know that. Nobody else will. But I think he did some positive things, and he's got a great upside. He'd be the first to tell you, as I said yesterday, that he's got a lot of things to work on. The thing that's remarkable because of the position, the most popular guy on the team is always the backup quarterback. And once Vad plays for a while, it'll probably be Justin. But it's like, everywhere I've coached, that's just the way it is. It's, Anthony Harrell went in at linebacker and knocked the snot out of some people and caused 2 fumbles, and nobody's wanting to know if he's going to play again. Trey Braun went in and played offensive guard and did really well, but nobody's wondering when he's going to play again. So it's like it's the nature of the position, but he's got ability, and we're going to try to bring him along and not throw him to the lines. He's still a redshirt freshman. He's still got a long time to be here and a long time to learn, but we're excited about where he is.
From what you just said, does that mean he is your backup?
Situational. It's, it would depend on the situation. St. John is playing A-back mostly in practice, but he'll still spend some time at quarterback, and depending on what you're trying to do and what gives you the chance, it's hopeful that as we move along, he will progress himself to the point that you feel good about him in that situation, and could possibly progress to the point where he's playing all the time. So, I don't know that he will beat the other guy out this year, but there could be a situation if he progresses and continues to get better that you could play with both of them. So.
Going back to the dynamic of a team, now you have if it's a problem or not. You said Presbyterian was overmatched, but your team did put up 59.
Mm-hmm.
So now the idea that they feel pretty good about themselves kind of comes into play. It's the opposite of what happened.
Yeah,
maybe.
well, I can assure you after the film session on Monday, offensively, they didn't feel very good about themselves. I mean, they got taken to the woodshed on several things, and I've challenged them. The ball was out. I mean, we were told, too, that they were overmatched. I mean, so they can look at the film. They're not done. They know that we haven't arrived. And thus moving positions and shaking some guys up, and the way practice is structured. I mean, we've got some issues on the perimeter. We got some issues in a lot of places that we got to get cleaned up. So I don't think they'll kid themselves or fall into the fact that they're going to be full of themselves. Not yet. Not after one game.
Coach, regarding the perimeter, beyond just them not blocking as effectively as what is it they're doing or not doing that's like making the offense less effective?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question, but what I'm saying on the perimeter is we got to get on the same page. There's missed assignments. We've got to get better blocking on the perimeter. We got to get better with fundamentals with the offensive line inside and what we call scooping and cutting off, and just there's a lot of areas that we got to do better and improve on. And it's not just one thing or one. It's just continuing to get better, because we're going to hold them to the standard that we set up here. I'm not worried about the points. I want to see when I turn the film on. I want to see it look right. I want to see you doing the right things, and that's what I'm talking about. So, we played a lot of guys on Saturday night, and that's good because we get a look at a lot of them. But if you're going to go in the game, you need to know who to block and how to do it, fundamentally and those kind of things. So there's a lot of room for improvement there.
Coach, you've used Corey Carlson in the sub-packages at safety the first two games. Can you evaluate how he's done?
Yeah, Corey's had a really good fall camp. He's a guy that's been in the program for a while. He understands. He's a smart kid. Fred Holton's been out. Lewis Young was out, so we had a lot of guys out in the secondary. So, Corey was kind of the next guy up. We had a young freshman, Lynn Griffin, who showed a lot of promise that we thought was going to be good, and he kind of popped a quad in camp, so he's probably going to redshirt now. He's been out. And then, different guys. Dominique Noble was out for a little bit with injury, and so Corey took that to his advantage and got in there, and he's been where he's supposed to be. He knows where to go, so he's done well when he got in there.
Do you have a prognosis with Fred about when is it?
No, from they're still working on it, and it's like I really thought he would be ready for the first game. It's just one of those things that's kept lingering. He wants to play. Nobody wants to get out there more than him. He's dying to get out there, but he's just not physically capable of getting out there and protecting himself right now.
How close is Anthony Williams from getting into the rotation? Has he still got some work to do?
He's in the rotation. You've got Ajon, Euclid, and Diake that play most of it, and then Anthony. And, depending on the packages or whatever, Anthony needs to play more. So does Sean Green. And Adam Gossas did some good things when he was out there. I think he's going to end up – we made the decision early on that we were going to have to use him. We've got some other guys on the defensive line that are playing through injuries, but they could go down with the type of injuries they have at any time. So, we're trying to get him ready to play too.
I guess from what you could tell of watching his tape, Adams' tape,
Mhm.
how would you rate the level of football he was playing?
I don't know. Low level college, high level prep school. It depends on what team they were playing. He was on their national team, and when they played Samoa, it was pretty good. When they played, some of the other teams, not so good. But the thing that we liked about Adam is you've seen, he's a big kid, can run. I think he's got a chance to be a good player.
I think you mentioned something post game about Lasky and blocking and need for improvement there.
Mhm.
Where did you see, or what did you see? How did he grade out in the game film?
He did really good running. He's still got some work to do blocking, but they all do. We got to do a better job coaching them at that position to block. So I think that the more he plays, the better he'll get at it. The good news is they're not afraid to block. They're not afraid to run up in there and do what they got to do. It's just kind of relaxing. And as you can imagine, for a guy that was his first start at home on a Saturday night, hell, he forgot he was on the punt team. He was pretty keyed up and fired up like a lot of young guys will be. So the more he plays, the more relaxed he gets, I think the better he'll do. Charles is kind of battling through some injuries a little bit, but he's trying to fight through it. And Broderick's learning the position, Snotty. So, we'll see when we get David back full speed how that thing sorts out. But Zach's got some quickness, and he hits it up in there pretty good. He's kind of like we thought in camp. I think he can be pretty good running the ball.
Where has Jay Finch gotten better from last year?
Well, I think he's just older and stronger. Probably got a better understanding. He played well in the last game, not so much in the first one. We haven't played well on the offensive line like we need to. I mean, we did okay, but we felt like that was going to be a strength. And this is going to be a big challenge for them this week because we got our butt handed to us up there a year ago inside the tackle boxes. So we'll see how we do this week.
In their post game last year, Virginia players talked a lot about the importance of having an extra week to prepare last year. But that extra week, how does that? I mean, the things that you talk about, the physicality of the game, the play up front, is that something that's not a matter of having that extra week, or is it?
I don't know. I've given you guys my opinion on that, so it's, if you stop a pro style offense, is it because you have an extra week, or if anytime you have an extra week to play anybody, it should benefit you no matter what they do, to some degree. But I think you have to give Virginia credit. Last year they played well. Last year we were 6-0 and went up there and wasn't ready to play. I think we'll be ready this time.
Are you hopeful that with Coach Groh on the staff, you'll be able to recruit the state of Virginia in coming years?
That's not going to be a big push for us. I mean, we might get a guy or two out of there. Our recruiting is going to be, Georgia, Florida, the Carolinas, and then we might get a player or two. But probably the biggest misnomer is as a head coach. I doubt Coach Groh did a whole lot of recruiting in Virginia. You had assistants that were out there recruiting. Other than one, just by rules alone, as a head coach, you can do one visit. You got to do it the same day that you go to the school that you go to the home. You can talk to them on the phone, but I mean, you get to see them actually one time. So the assistants do most of the recruiting.
Paul, I think it was 3 touchdown passes this past week. And while you said they don't feel necessarily great about themselves after breakdown, the 59 might not be a real indication. How good is that part of it, maybe, where success comes, you're able to put it up in the air and score touchdowns that way?
Well, I think Tevin's thrown the ball pretty good the last 2 games. I mean, he threw the ball fairly well at Virginia Tech. Actually, throwing the ball is not an issue you always got to work on all of it, but our biggest issue there is staying in the pocket and stepping up in the pocket and not bolting, at the first sign of a different color or whatever. And that's something we worked hard on. And Vad did the same thing. I mean, he threw 3 balls. Probably all of them could have been caught. But the last one he threw to Orwin, I mean, he takes off, and there was no reason to take off. He made it a little harder on himself. So that kind of thing is what we need to get better. Depending on the situation as to how much we throw, we're probably in a perfect world, you'd throw it 15 to 20 times a game and complete. If you throw it 20, complete 14 or 15. And if we do that and we're running the ball successfully, we'll have some touchdown passes because we'll hit some things. And it may very well be some chances this week where they really commit to the perimeter. A lot of teams do, where you're going to have one-on-one on the backside with nobody underneath and nobody, if you can throw it and catch it, you got a chance for big plays.